Father Paul, just in case anyone thinks I'm trying to lure you into breaking some sort of vow of silence by asking you a question, you can speak, can't you, Father?
Well, I wouldn't be much of a spokesman if I never spoke.
Catty! I like that. Why is it that monks love silence so much?
We all need silence, and it's harder to find in the modern world.
Yes, what one thinks is silence is often not, because you listen a little harder, you can hear the beep of a truck reversing, or in the still of the night, what one thinks is a neighbour's baby crying, but in actual fact it's two foxes making love with one another.
I suppose the only place one can find true silence would be outer space.
Hence the phrase, in space no one can hear you scream.
From Alien.
Yes, I remember when I first saw that, I thought, finally a movie that acknowledges the fact that sound cannot travel through a vacuum. I bet you guys would love a vacuum.
It'd save the brothers having to sweep the floor.
There's that cattiness again. I mean, you're clearly a character. You definitely are.
From a Christian perspective, silence is a way of forming a deeper bond with God.
Although some young Christians use noise in much the same way that sirens of Greek mythology would lure unsuspecting sailors onto the rocks, the young Christians will sing hymns whilst banging a tambourine, and in the confusion, you end up believing in God.
Well, every individual has their own way of communing with God, but that's not to say that silence is purely religious. I mean, it can work wonders for your mental well-being. Why don't we try it right now? 1 minute.
Okay.
The footage you're watching has been sped up. Current BBC programming guidelines prohibit on-air silences over 30 seconds in duration, except for state funerals like Diana's or Springwatch. While greater flexibility is permitted for BBC's 2 and 4, BBC One viewers are thought to benefit from content with frequent noises.
There's your minute.
Life as a monk begins at sunrise. As we quietly dwelt on our relationship with the Lord, it occurred to me that God, all-knowing, invisible, and all around us, is identical to high-speed Wi-Fi, which I know for a fact that they have at the monastery. I wondered what these men might have been before they found God. Can you read a man's story in his face? I believe you can. If I had to guess, I'd say this monk was quite high up in ICI. This monk also worked for ICI, but in a more junior role. I don't have any ideas about this monk. And this monk briefly joined the band D-Ream after Brian Cox left to become a scientist. I decided to stroll the grounds and soon found myself walking like a monk, hands behind my back, nodding at passers-by, a smile as my resting face. But smiling constantly starts to make your face ache. I wondered if it felt the same for Holly Willoughby. Although the Bible doesn't mention potted plants, monks absolutely love them. But when I lent a hand, I began to see a very different side to these brothers. You see, silence can be a kindness. It can show courtesy to a fellow clay pigeon shooter. But anyone who's driven home with their wife after a row at a party will know that silence can be used as a weapon. Could the monks have been doing the same? It amused me to imagine I was in an institute full of angry wives in big brown dresses. But the more they pretended not to see me, the more I wondered if it was intentional. And when a sprightly monk snatched my pot, I became convinced they were trying to break me. Perhaps they were tapping Morse code messages to each other on plant pots, like, "Why isn't this new man wearing brown? Let's pick on him till he either cries or cuts his hand."
Now, we've all seen it. A teenager near a window asking Siri what the weather's like.
A taxi driver using his phone to calculate your change after you've given him £20 for an £18 fare. Clearly the change is £2.
But is our addiction to technology actually making us less intelligent?
To gauge the public mood, we cross to Simon Denton with a slightly expanded role, sifting through your texts, tweets, and now live calls.
Howdy.
Howdy. So, yeah, bigger role, more responsibility.
Yes, indeed. Finally got that promotion, Ma.
Same money, though, I think.
Yeah. So, we've been asking, have we lost good old-fashioned British common sense? Eustace says pick up bits of broken glass by pressing a slice of damp bread against the floor.
Very good tip. I've done that myself.
Yes, just remember to bin the bread afterwards.
Which I didn't do. Yes, my lips were lacerated.
Oh, dear.
My then girlfriend wouldn't kiss me for a week.
That must have been difficult.
Well, you could do other stuff.
Someone else who says, I avoid pet odours in my home.
Yeah, that's more of a housekeeping tip. You know, we're really asking a slightly deeper question about the way we live now. You know, have we lost something?
Yeah, totally. So Anita says, if you've lost the end of a roll of sellotape, but you're saying you mean some sort of lost something in society, as a society.
Yeah, so the ones you selected, are they all just housekeeping tips?
Yes, the tweets are.
Right.
We could take a phone call.
Let's do it.
Calls are under social, and then... No, not social.
Stay calm.
Hang on, I've got it here. Live, and then phone.
Right, there are 3 phones.
Just put phone. No. Yes, OK, so now I think we have Stephen Tent on line 4. Stephen. Stephen, are you there? Steve? Stephen Tent on line 4. Go to... Steve? Go to emails?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's fall in love. Bear with me.
I wish there was a bear with you. You'd probably make a better job of it than you. Seriously, mate.
Now, there is a way of getting from here to emails.
You make it sound like Fort Knox.
Fort! Stephen Fort. It's not Stephen Tent on line 4. It's Stephen
It's Stephen Fort on line 10. Right.
Well, let's go find him. Come on, then. What's all the fuss about now? Let's go. Come on, let's travel. Stephen Fort on line 10. Just missed him, I think.
Here's what we've got coming up for the rest of the show. Oh, Ruth, sorry again for the misunderstanding with your father.
Water under the bridge.
Yeah, it's just that I had not seen him in the studio before, and the reason I said I thought I told you to wait in the car was because I mistook him for my Uber driver. I don't know if you know, but the picture they show on the app, it's quite small.
To be honest, I quite enjoyed watching you squirm.
Hi, Ruth.
She never gives me a bloody inch, this one.
Going live in 5, 4.
Welcome back.
Now, as part of our crackdown on crime season, today we're looking at punishment. Yesterday, we heard your views on the return of flogging. But today, is mass imprisonment still good policy? Ruth Duggan joins us to tell us about a very different approach.
That's right, Jenny, because for the last 24 hours, Alan has been wearing an electronic tag. Voluntarily, I should add.
Yes, you should, if you don't mind.
Sorry, wouldn't want to cast you in a bad light.
Yeah, don't do that, we'll get letters.
Yeah, seriously, some people just don't like it.
So, Ruth, tell us about the tag. How does it work?
So tags allow probation services to monitor compliance with home detention curfews.
Essentially, if you aren't home when you're meant to be, it raises the alarm.
Not quite right.
OK.
The latest tags, like the one you wore, monitor all of an offender's movements 24/7 using GPS.
Right, I see. I thought you told me...
Allowing us to track all their movements in real time or call up anywhere they've been over the last 24 hours.
Wow.
Right. Something civil liberties groups might well take issue with.
Yes. So this is your movement map for the 24 hours that you wore it.
OK.
And we can see that you made a few excursions during the day, starting with a trip to a swimming pool between 10 and 11 a.m.
Mm-hmm. Put in a few lengths.
Well, we know from the pool's website that it was water aerobics from 10 till 11.
Yes, this week I did do that.
Then there was a visit to Svensson Cosmetic Solutions. Is that a clinic? You were there for an hour just after 2 p.m.
No idea.
Well, we know you were.
No idea.
But it was you who went there. You don't remember?
Nothing.
It was yesterday, Alan.
That's something a probation officer might flag.
Hair clinic?
Likewise, your next stop, a visit to a clothes shop.
Ah, yes. McGovern's of Norwich, gentlemen's outfitters. They made me a pair of twill pleated notchback trousers for the Goodwood Revival Festival, which I needed to get fitted with an elastic waist. I'm afraid when it comes to my battle with my waistline, I'm waving the white flag. Not too self-conscious to admit that, you know, which proves I wasn't trying to conceal anything earlier.
You went back and forth to the gents' outfitters 16 times.
That's correct.
Which, again, a probation officer would query as it might imply illicit activity.
Or even indicate mental health issues.
Could do. I mean, I do 10 Sudokus a week, but yeah, could do.
Well, you can see how it looks odd.
Not really. I went to town to drop my trousers off, then it started raining, so I ran home, and then I remembered I'd driven into town, so I ran back to the car park for my car, but realised I'd left my parking ticket at home. So I went back home to get my parking ticket, but couldn't get in because I left my house keys in the car. So I walked back to the car, got the house keys, walked back home, went in, got the parking ticket, walked back into town for the car, and drove it back home. Then McGovern's called to say my trousers were ready, so drove back into town, got the trousers, but I realised I'd left my wallet at home, so I couldn't leave the car park again. Walked home, got my wallet, then walked back to get my car, but I left my car keys at home, so then I walked back to the car and drove home. Then I realised McGovern's had given me the wrong trousers, so I drove back to town, swapped them for the right ones before walking home.
That means you left your car.
Forget the car, I'm not bothered about the car, I was in pain, my scalp was bleeding.
Ruth Duggan, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
London, the year 2023, and leather-clad renegade Nero Costa is on the run. With the police now able to detect wrongdoing before it's happened by accessing our brains over Wi-Fi for signs of thought crime, police are able to apprehend so-called pre-criminals without trial. My character, Nero Costa, is wanted for the murder of a politician he is yet to even meet.
Viva la revolution!
The stuff there of some dystopian sci-fi movie, currently seeking seed finance and a distributor. In real life, though, with the thought police confined to the Guardian's comment pages, we rely on mass imprisonment to curb crime. But some criminal justice campaigners even take issue with that. Why? Well, in 1971, researchers at Stanford University conducted a prison experiment in which volunteers were given roles as inmates or guards. Within days, the guards had become sadistic and cruel, the prisoners servile and weak, a power dynamic familiar to anyone who stayed with their wife's parents at Christmas. I have personal experience of the kind of damage the Stanford experiment can cause. In 2004, I'm ashamed to say that I took part in a Channel 4 rehash named Loose Screws.
If you ever want to see your kids again, you better start showing some respect! Right, who's next?
The series was never broadcast.
Where's Vernon?
Academics pour scorn on our prisons from the comfort of their leather big chairs. But how many have ever been in a prison? None. Whereas I've come to sample a bit of porridge firsthand.
Not the kind I have for breakfast. Organic oats, linseed, sliced nana, all washed down with piping hot coffee and my tablets. But it's Alan Partridge, I've got permission. But the kind of porridge served at Her Majesty's pleasure, with the only piping hot coffee is the hot coffee thrown in your face by a troubled teenager with a rubbish dad. That's right, Borstal. Tissue, item, semi-used, access key insignia with leather toggle. Chicken shop wet wipes, 5 units.
I didn't want to go to a men's prison, but seeing as the women's prison didn't get back to me, I would be incarcerated here in a youth offenders institute.
For the homeless.
And the gloves?
Why?
To kick off, I spent what seemed like an hour with prison governor Maurice Pelt.
It's about carrot and stick, isn't it? Although you can hit people with a carrot.
He said the boys nicknamed him Strangeways because he used to work there, but I'll let you be the judge.
When these young lads walk through these doors and become inmates, I stand them where you are now, and I say, what?
You blew it, kid.
I say, forget what might have been. 3 words, Alan. 3 words that are banned in my office. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Should have done this, should have done that. You didn't. Could have done this, could have done that. You didn't. Would have done this, would have done that.
You didn't.
No, you didn't.
I liked Maurice. His inspirational shtick could be a little preachy, honed by Sunday mornings spent as a Christian minister. But if he thinks we have a soul inside us, like some sort of holy spleen, where's the harm in that?
Because you know what the prize is, huh? It's the future. What's the prize?
The future.
Wrong, no. Not the future, a future.
As a boy's eye.
Because changing direction is a choice. But whose choice?
Mine.
It slowly dawned on me Maurice was asking questions he knew he and I both knew the answers to, which felt like cheating. Then again, although a bit simplistic for the likes of me,
Where is it?
Behind you.
it was perfect for daft lads.
Target is an Al-Qaeda cell. 4 terrorists are in the building. In addition, they have as many as 4 hostages. Your mission is to recover the hostages. We're in 2 teams. A team led by Danny will secure the perimeter. B team today will include Alan.
Lads.
B team will enter the building through the door on the white aspect. The hostages are being held on the far side of the blue aspect. Any questions?
Sir.
Alan.
Recommend we use night vision capability.
It's 1300 hours, so no.
Copy that.
Questions?
Open door right!
I've got the rear!
Open door left! With me!
I've got the rear!
Open door right! On me!
I've got the rear! Special Forces experts agree it's important to guard the rear.
Partridge, with me!
This was my signal. A gauntlet thrown down. We know eagles dare, but does a partridge?
Left side clear, right side clear, room clear, hold! Did you see that? Did you see that?
That's right. So, how do you think you did?
Pretty good, yeah, pretty good.
Well, you discharged your firearm correctly, all neat and tidy.
Yeah, I was a sixer in the Cubs.
Right, well, let's have a look at the video, shall we? Yeah, this full shot, what's this stance? You're presenting a very wide target.
Yeah, that's a recognised shooting stance.
Where have you seen that before?
The opening sequence of the James Bond films.
Right, yeah. It's me and the boys are wondering where the hell's he got that from?
And I told you, it's from the opening sequence of the James Bond films.
Yeah. Straight away, I can see a fundamental problem. Your first two shots.
Yeah, double tap, central torso, pretty good.
You've killed a hostage.
Oh, Alan.
Terrorist, unharmed. Hostage, dead. Terrorist, unharmed. Hostage, dead. Terrorist, unharmed. Hostage, dead. That makes 4 unharmed terrorists and 4 hostages killed.
That is suboptimal.
We would call it a catastrophic failure. I mean, why did you shoot this guy? This is an Islamic terrorist cell. This guy's clearly a Sikh.
Oh, come on, I mean...
Do you know many Muslims that wear turbans?
Sinbad the Sailor?
Catastrophic failure.
Well, wait a second. I was charged with incapacitating 4 targets and recovering 4 persons, which, to be fair, I did do. The only twist was...
that you saved 4 terrorists and killed 4 hostages.
Precisely. I mean, that's a good shot.
Now, this one, it's called White Diamond.
Ooh.
Perhaps another one of Kirsty Allsop's bridesmaids.
Did you have a drink before you came on?
It's
try that.
champagne, lime cordial, big slug of Cointreau, white grape juice, and egg white.
Like poached egg?
Oh, no, it's raw.
For God's sake, Rosie.
What?
You can't eat raw egg. It's a raw egg,
No,
Rosie.
it's a common ingredient.
Sorry, just a disclaimer. Please don't try this at home. Rosie's attempted it here, but in controlled conditions with first aiders on hand. Please cook your eggs. Be safe. Be egg safe.
Rosie, let me pick your brain. Because me and my mum, we always go to Queen's for the tennis.
Like this one.
The first cocktail afternoon of the summer. What would you make for that?
It'd have to be a rosemary champagne fizz. So gin, grapefruit, and champagne. It's English, it's fun, it's summer.
Those are the new cocktails, but what about the classics? Rosie, what do you think is the most popular cocktail in Britain?
Espresso martini.
Alan, what do you think?
Mine's gone blank. Shandy.
Well, we hit the streets of Nottingham to find out which came out on top.
And we're off.
That was great. Oh, really, it's okay.
Smells of stuffing. Oh, it's you.
Just to say, I've looked into the annual reports. And it turns out Jenny earns slightly more than you.
Okay.
It's to do with the way the deal is structured. It's an accounting quirk.
Okay.
It's only about £200, but it just means she's higher than you in the list of the BBC's best paid presenters.
Okay.
Are you okay?
Okay, I'm okay.
So you're in a bit of a pickle. You want more, but you don't want to complain because women have got a bit big for their boots.
Yeah, all right, Lynn, that's for the car, but thanks for the intel. Have a white sparkle.
Okay, places, people.
You like egg, don't you?
And we're back in 5, 4.
So there we have it. The mojito is Britain's favourite cocktail. And Rosie, you're making us one to end the show.
I am. Now, the secret to a good mojito is not to overdo the mint. So, it's lime juice, sugar, a little mint, they're already in the shaker.
Go on, make it then.
And, yes, a handful of ice and a good slug of rum.
Oh, I love rum.
And then you give it a good shake.
Stop looking at me.
Certainly gave that what for.
Would you like to have a go,
No,
Alan?
not me. I never know where to look when I do that sort of thing. It requires a certain kind of confidence that, for whatever reason, I don't have. That's why I don't play the maracas. Give it here. Right.
Stiff.
It's loosening.
Very stiff.
Have you got it?
All right.
Okay. Take me, take it. I don't know why I did that.
Rosie, thank you very much for joining us. That was great.
It was great. It was really great. What are you doing with my jacket? Sorry for bollocking you before about the raw egg thing. But don't do that again.
Oh, and I believe Simon has an email. Simon.